Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. One of the members of our group actually asked me to do a brief video concerning the changes to the crew skills and which ones I think might be useful for Arty players. I'm not going to discuss tank destroyers or heavy tanks or mediums or lights, mainly because they've got a different set of circumstances. So the way they operate, they need different skills to do that, and so a light tank might need brothers in arms and say camo, but a heavy tank is probably going to need brothers in arms and say repairs because he wants to repair quickly. He's always going to be in sight of the enemy and shooting directly at them. So, Arty, which crew skills should we get under the new crew skills? Let's have a look at them. Okay, well, you can see straight away I've actually set these ones up already. But let's reset and go through them, why I picked the ones I did. Brothers in Arms is the most important crew skill of all. If you've got a BIA crew, you increase the crew efficiency for the entire crew by a 5% bonus. And that means that not only do you get that 5% on every crew member, but the commander's bonus, which of course then increases anyway, by 5%, means that he gives 10% of his crew, of his bonus to the rest of the crew. And since his bonus has now gone up to 105% rather than just the 100%, it means that the rest of the crew are getting 11% extra. So it really does make a difference having brothers in arms, because you're adding 1% on top of the 5% to every other crew member. Of course, the crew efficiency bonus covers every crew skill. So it's aiming, it's reload, its ability to spot the enemy, and of course to repair the vehicle once you've actually taken damage. Now, the second skill that I definitely would use will be concealment. Ideally, Arty, because of course they're so vulnerable, they don't have very heavy armor. They are slow to move about. They're much easier for the enemy to shoot if they spotted you. So ideally, you just don't want the enemy to ever find out where you are. And having concealment actually does improve your ability to survive the battle. It's an active skill during a battle. So definitely get concealment. Now, of the other ones remaining, you can see recon would actually increase your view range by 2%. Now, that might be useful for a tank player, because, of course, then he's going to spot the enemy much further away. And emergency, well, that's not going to be very good for an Arty player, because it only increases your crew efficiency bonus by 5%. For 15 seconds after receiving damage. You don't want to receive damage if you're an Arty at all, for that matter. So which ones are the other ones would I actually pick? Well, I would normally go straight for the mentor, because mentor bumps up the bonus you get for the crew members by 20%. So if you've got the mentor skill, it means that your crews are getting trained faster, but it also means that the commander can be used to replace knocked out crew members. It used to be the Jack of Trades skill that used to be in the game, but they've merged the mentor skill with Jack of Trades, which means now that you get a double skill there. You've got the ability to train your crews faster and also to replace them if they get knocked out. So mentor is useful during a battle and after it. Of the other ones, coordination. Well, coordination increases your aiming speed by 12.5% for 15 seconds after you spot the enemy vehicle. But remember, you're an Arty. You're at the back of the field. You're not going to spot an enemy tank unless you happen to be in the 105 FH18B2. So this is not going to be a good skill for Arty, even though it looks like it's good. 12.5% extra to aiming speed. But you're not going to be spotting the enemy tank, so you're not going to get that 12.5% extra. So as far as I'm concerned, if they've gone to the letter of the word there, it's after you spot an enemy vehicle. Not the Arty spots, you spot it. So it's the tank that does the spotting gets the bonus, not the Arty. So that's not a good skill for an Arty player. Sound detection is, well, I think it is technically unnecessary. I've now come to the conclusion that although it's actually nice to know the moment the shell's fired within 0.1 second of the shell being fired that it's coming in your way, you can hear the rumble of an RC firing at you from if you've got your ears open and you listen for that sound. So you will know that the enemy is firing in your general direction, because if you hear that rumble, the shell is going to be close to you. It's going to be within 50 meters or so. So if you hear a rumble, move. If you don't hear a rumble, just carry on playing. So not a good skill, but it's one of those last ones that you would pick once you've picked all the other ones which are useful. So I've got another skill still available. Of this bunch, I think I'm going to pick repairs, because if I've used a repair kit and I want to get something fixed, then obviously the repairs one's going to be the one. If I've chosen a small repair kit, then obviously I'm only going to fix one module. The repair kit will then help my crew to repair whatever else has gone down, but it's only going to repair after damage has actually been received from the enemy. So at the moment, I would say brothers in arms, concealment, mentor, repairs, and at a pinch, I'd say recon and sound detection as the last one. All the other ones, well, practicality only decreases consumable cooldown by 10%. So it means 9 seconds quicker on getting your your toolkits back. So again, it's not a useful one for Arty. Okay, so that's the cruise. So we've done that. Now the bonus perks. This is an interesting concept that they brought in, that there's an extra perk you can have for another member of the crew. If we look at the bonus perks on this one, which ones are useful for Arty? Well, situational awareness is like the other crew, the recon one. It actually increases your view range. So it could be useful eventually, but it's not the prime one that I would go for. Signal interception lets you know that you've been spotted faster. You already got 3 seconds from your sixth sense going off. This decreases the amount of time to 2.25 seconds. So you'll know faster that you've been spotted. Excuse me. So this is useful for Arty, but it's not the most useful one. This one is the most useful one for Arty, and I've definitely picked this as the first one you want to get off. Now, there's a reason why. It says, when fully trained, increases the crew efficiency bonus by 2.5%. Remember I said on the Brothers in Arms, it increases by 5%. This is half as much again if you do more damage exceeding the hit points of your vehicle's initial points. So if you're an Arty, you're going to do that if you get off, say 5 shots, and each of those shots doesn't penetrate the enemy. Say you're in a heavy Arty. I'm looking at my list here. Say you're in an Object 261 doing 800 alpha. Your hit points are 900 and... Is it 910? No. Sorry, my glasses. Your hit points are 510 hit points. So if you score 2 hits on the enemy, that's 400 if you don't penetrate. 3 hits on the enemy, you've earned your hit points, your health, your initial hit points. You've got those straight away. And that means from 3 shots onwards, every shot you fire after that, you've got a crew efficiency bonus of 2.5% being added to your crew as they're working. So this is probably very, very useful indeed. If you can score enough damage quickly enough in the battle, then it'll improve your ability to score hit points later on during the battle. Now, you only get 3 extra skills, if I remember correctly. So that's the first one I would definitely have in. That's the second one I would have in, because it's going to decrease the amount of time before you know you've been seen. And then I go for situational awareness as the last one. Firefighting, well, you don't really want to get hit in the first place. So I don't think that's useful. Jamming, well, that just decreases the time before you go unspotted again. If you've been spotted, you're in a dangerous situation straight away. This is the one that you should not use. If you're an Arty, you don't want to be within 50 meters of another Arty. This bonus only works if you're within 50 meters of an allied vehicle of the same type, which would mean you'd have to park next to another Arty. And as we all know, if you're parking next to another Arty, that's two tracers coming out from the same spot, much easier to spot, much easier to kill, and it also means if the enemy light tanks locate you, they're going to kill you faster, both of you. So it's a very easy way for giving away a Pascucci's medal or a counter battery. This is not a good skill to have. It may sound great because it's 2.5%, which is the same as this one here. This one is the bad one. It may work for a medium tank. It may work for a light tank. It doesn't work for Arty because you have to get close to your teammate, and that just makes you more vulnerable. So don't pick this one if you can. Go for the communications expert, go for signal interception, go for situational awareness. Do not go for side by side. If you do, you're actually setting yourself up to be killed. So let's train those ones straight away. You can see there's only 3 skills allowed anyway out of those 3. So just pick the ones, obviously, that are going to give you a bonus. If I go quickly to the gunners. Straight away, go to brothers in arms. Concealment, because you don't want to be spotted. So those are 2 that are definitely going to work for you during a battle. Now, of the others, you can see here I've got 2 extras to pick. Now, this is an Arty with a turret, the M53, M55. So snapshot would actually work because it's on turret rotation. But not all Artys do have turret rotation. Most of them don't. In fact, the GW Panther and the M53, M55 are really the only 2 that actually have an honest to goodness turret. The rest have all got gun mounts which swivel the gun. So, of those other skills, the Deadeye one actually, well, that just increases the chances of hitting a module or crew members. And remember that the tracks count as a module as well as the other things. So it means you might be able to track a vehicle more likely, but you might even be able to get a crew member injured if you get a direct hit on the enemy. But overall, it's useful, but one of the later skills you should get. Designated target is also basically encompassing Eagle Eye because it enables you to actually see what modules in the enemy tank are damaged, and it decreases or increases the length of time that it's still visible. So it means that you've got more chance of hitting a target if it's running out of spotting distance. So it's running away from the battle. You might spot it for a little while longer. But of the 2 that I would definitely get for an Arty player, it's concentration, which decreases gun dispersion. It's a buff to ability to hit the target, and that increases it by 3.5%. And I think the first one I would definitely go for was quick aiming, because that increases the aiming speed and the turret traverse by 2.5%. Definitely useful on the M53, M55. And so that one I definitely have. And the second one I get, the concentration. Again, it's going to be basically Arties sit still whilst they're shooting. So therefore, that one is going to be effective because it's a stationary vehicle. So you're going to get a buff there of what basically aiming time's going to speed up, and you're going to get less dispersion. So those 2 definitely work. So we'll train those 2 in. Well, actually, I don't think I should have done that just yet. But anyway, yes, because I did need to have that up so I could actually see what we were doing. Okay, Armorer, when fully trained, reduces the range of potential damage and potential penetration by plus minus 5% and decreases gun dispersion by 1.5. Well, I always read that as to say that it decreases the gun dispersion, so that is useful to an arty, but it reduces the ranges of potential damage and potential penetration. So that's receiving damage from the enemy. You don't really want to be receiving damage at all. So if I was to look at those skills, I'd say Brothers in Arms, concealment, concentration, quick aiming, or quick aiming, then concentration. And if I was then to pick any other skills, I would pick more likely to pick Deadeye for a stationary arty with no turret. If it was the M53, Snapshot might work better. But if that's the last two skills that you're going to bring in afterwards, I would not pick designated target or armorer. I might pick repairs, but of the ones at the moment, these are the active ones that I would definitely train in. Okay, we've got two gunners on here, so I've actually trained different skills, but you can see, again, I'll quickly put the Brothers in Arms and concealment in because they're the useful ones. And I think I did pick the optional ones as well, because obviously if you've got concentration and quick aiming on the other gunner, getting Deadeye and Snapshot on the other one would definitely help on an M53, M55, because you've already got these from the other gunner. So having those two does definitely help. Okay, now going to the driver. Brothers in Arms and concealment, of course, straight away. Clutch braking, well, most arties do turn very, very slowly because they're very heavy vehicles. So clutch braking actually increases your speed of traverse. And that can be useful if you've got an enemy tank or a light tank, say, or a medium tank trying to get behind you. If they're trying to get into a position so they can shoot at you without you having to be able to having to turn to get to them, having clutch braking does make you traverse much quicker and therefore, well, quickish, and therefore it's less likely that they're going to get an advantage of you if you say are up against a wall or a rock or something like that. You should be able to turn on them much easier and therefore get a shot off at them. Smooth rides only works if you shoot on the move. So if you're a FP304 or a Crusader 5.5-inch SP, you could use smooth ride. Off-road driving, well, it only reduces your speed loss on soft ground. So I don't think there's anywhere that would really be useful for arty. Controlled impact does work for arties which are heavy enough, because of course it's going to reduce damage done by the enemy and increase the damage that you do to the enemy if you do ram them. A lot of arties are very heavy. They move fairly slowly, but they can yield a lot of damage on the enemy by just one quick ram, one quick touch. And I've said to many people in the past, if you fired your gun and you've earned whatever hit points you can off that and the enemy's still alive, just ram into them and that should finish them off. Of course, if you've got controlled impact, it will increase the amount of damage you do to them and might keep you alive as well at the end. So that is a useful one for an arty. So if I was to pick other skills to actually have, other than repairs, I'd go clutch braking first, and then I'd say controlled impact on the enemy, because if I'm going to ram the enemy, and the M53, M55 can get up some speed, so that could be a useful possibility that I might be able to ram the enemy. Less likely smooth ride, because I'm not really likely to go roaming around the battlefield shooting at them. But if I do get shotgunned on the enemy, I'll ram them if I can't kill them straight off. Okay, next one. Okay, first, Brothers in Arms concealment, definitely useful. Now, of the other ones, we can see Adrenaline Rush, well, that could be useful if you've already taken damage, but you really don't want to take damage if you're an arty. So I'd say no. Stay at safe stowage only really helps if you have been hit by decreasing the possibility you're going to blow up. Intuition, definitely useful because you are going to be able to change shell much quicker, and that will stop you from firing on an enemy tank and accidentally wounding one of your own. If they were too close, you could switch shells to a non-stun HG, hit the enemy and not stun your teammate, and that will help you keep the HE, keep the high caliber. Ammo tuning can be useful because, of course, it's going to increase the minimum potential damage and the minimum potential penetration. That means that you're going to increase it by 2%. It's a tiny amount, but considering the alpha of an Arty, that will make a big difference. So it means that if before, say you had 800 alpha on your Arty, say an Object 261, that's got 800 alpha, it means that you're going to get 2% extra. Well, 1% will be 8 hit points. 2% means you're going to get 16 hit points. So it means that your alpha has gone up from 800 to 816. And it also means your penetration's gone up as well. Penetration's 45 millimeters of armor. So with a minimum increase of 2%, that's going to make a whopping 1 millimeter extra penetration on the enemy. I know I laugh, but that actually could be useful. You're more likely to actually increase your potential damage because it's going to mean that a non-penetrating shot on, say, an Object 261, instead of being 800 the alpha, it will actually go up, as I said, to 816, but it means that you'd actually get 408 if you got a non-penetrating shot. So it does give you a few extra hit points. Perfect charge, not really going to be much use because Arty has a slow shell speed already. So increasing the shell speed by 10% might actually change the trajectory of the shell, and that might actually work against you. Close combat, again, not really useful for Arty because it only works on decreasing gun loading time when the enemy's 50 meters from you. If they can see you, if they're at 50 meters, they can definitely see you. And therefore, you're actually only increasing or decreasing your gun loading time when you've already are in grave danger. So I would say close combat's not a skill that you're actually going to use unless the enemy gets very, very close. So of those skills, I've selected 3 of them already. Which one would I pick next after that? Well, I think I'll pick repairs, actually. I know. Or should I? No, actually, I think I should go for ammo tuning. It's going to increase the damage, but only slightly. I could go for safe stowage. This is only going to be useful if you're already taken a huge amount of damage already, because it's only comes into effect when you've got 25% left. So yes, not that one because you've got to be too close. Not that one because it changes your trajectory. Not that one because you've already taken damage. So the only ones that really would be useful, repairs and ammo tuning after intuition. So we'll pick ammo tuning on that one. Okay, and we do have, oh, I've already selected that for the other crewman. You don't need it twice. That's the other thing, of course. I think if you've got it once, if I remember correctly, this one and that one, if you have it on all of them, does help. But it doesn't say that there's any penalty to having it on only 1 or 2. It says if 2 loaders have this perk, the average value of training level is applied. So if you've only got it 1, then obviously you've only get half the average value. So this decreases the time of changing in a loaded gun by 60%. You'd only get 30% if you've only got one. So definitely that has to be one of the skills if you want it to work on both. If two loaders have this perk, the average value of training level is applied. So again, I think I will actually have the same skill on both because it's working on average. And there we go. So those are the skills that I would select. Obviously, everyone's got their own choices depending on how they actually play. I think the most important skills for a Arty player to have ones which increase your crew efficiency. As I said, looking at those ones here, communications expert, if you do enough damage each battle, you are going to increase your crew efficiency. You can see there it says crew efficiency bonus will be increased by 3.09% if the amount of damage you assist exceeds your vehicle's initial points. So if you do a lot of damage in a battle, and I know a lot of you from what Arty Noobs do, this is going to be a useful perk for you, because at some point during your battle, probably your third or fourth shot, your crew are going to start rapidly loading the shells, rapidly aiming. It's going to make a big difference. It's not rapidly, but it will increase their speed, and you may notice it. You may suddenly realize, oh my God, that last shell is going in very, very quick, because your crew are working much, much faster. So yes, I definitely would increase that one with that one. I would not pick the ones where you have to get close to your teammates, because obviously you're just making yourself a willing target. So don't pick side by side. I know some people are thinking, oh, what a great idea, a bonus for actually sitting next to your teammate. But it's just going to increase the number of people earning Pascucci's medals or counter battery medals. So I would definitely not recommend that skill at all. So I hope you find that useful. I'm sorry it's so long actually for me to do that, but there are a lot of skill changes. Considering how many accounts I actually have, it's taken me a little while to go through all of them, and I'm not finished yet. I've still got a few accounts to do, so I'm going to be up to date. But thankfully, Wargaming gave us, 29 days, or was it 30 days, to actually change all the skills, and then they actually charge us for it after that. But try and get it done as quickly as you can. Go through every vehicle. I'm not going to advise you on tank destroyers, heavy tanks, mediums, and lights, because everyone's got a different way of playing them. But obviously, I would say if you're on a light tank that spots and sits in a bush, pick the camouflage. If you're in a light tank that runs around the battlefield at high speed, pick the repair. So if you're in a EBR, use repair. If you're in an ELC, pick the camo. Everything else is up to you, but obviously it really will help your crew ability if you pick the skills which will give you a crew efficiency bonus, and then obviously you'll start enjoying the game, because your crews should be able to really make good use of boosting crew efficiency overall. Thanks for watching.